can I get a quick exclusive question?
Yes, go ahead.
So, hello and welcome to Under the Moons. Now, as you saw, I recently had the chance to ask Nolan North a question that had been on my mind. And when I say recently, it's been a while since I asked him this question, but I finally got around to making this video, so here we are. Now, the name Nolan North, you might not know the name, but you've probably heard his voice in many of the games you may have played. He's done such video game characters as Nathan Drake from Uncharted, the Ghost from Destiny, the Penguin from the Arkham games, Desmond Miles from Assassin's Creed, Creepy David from The Last of Us, Deadpool from Deadpool, Captain Martin Walker from Spec Ops: The Line, and so many more, including the fish from the Cat in the Hat game.
Quinn, that nasty neighbor from next door.
He isn't either limited to voice acting, no, he's actually acted a few things. You may know him as Spencer's dad from Pretty Little Liars.
Come on. Have a buttercream.
Star Trek Into Darkness, he had a brief cameo, there it goes, and a few other places, but he's definitely more well known for his video game characters and very much attached to Nathan Drake, and that's where this video will be focused. So, Uncharted, developed by Naughty Dog, released a year into the PS3's life cycle and brought in a large audience for the series. Uncharted's popularity went on to spawn 5 sequels, 2 more on the PS3, 1 on the PS Vita, and 2 more on the PS4. Yeah, this was a very successful series, and usually with very successful video game series that are set on modern day Earth, movie producers' ears perk up. Rumours of an Uncharted movie first cropped up around the release of Uncharted 2 Amongst Thieves. I think it's general knowledge by now that developing a playable narrative into a watchable narrative doesn't usually spawn success. In fact, here's a list of a few video game films in order of success compared to The Cat in the Hat. And by reading the first brief of what these movie people have come up with, it sounded like the Uncharted film would fit right about here. David O. Russell was first on board to direct, wanting to include Drake's extended family, loving the idea of this family being a force to be reckoned with within the international work of art and antiquities. Mark Wahlberg was to star as Drake, with Robert De Niro taking on Sully, who would have been changed from Drake's mentor to his biological father. Sony said yikes, and David O. Russell left. Probably for the best. Over the following years, multiple directors joined and dropped out. It's actually kind of nuts to read the history of this film's production. Nathan Fillion even had a campaign to be cast as Drake, more than once. Despite not being cast by any movie studios as Drake, he actually went on to create his own little short film of Uncharted last year. Currently, the adaptation is said to be directed by 10 Cloverfield Lane's Dan Trachtenberg, who's known for his love of video games like Portal, Bioshock, Shadow of the Colossus, and the Uncharted series, and Spider-Man Homecoming star Tom Holland to play a younger Drake. Now, through this production, many of the key core players at Naughty Dog have given their opinion on the project. Co-lead game designer for Uncharted 1-3, Richard Lemerchand, gave a no comment when asking about his thoughts on the adaptation. Nolan North stated he didn't think fans wanted a movie version of the games. We'll get back to that later. Neil Druckmann, game designer on Uncharted 1 and 2, later on taking on Uncharted 4 as co-creative director, made it clear that if you don't get the character dynamics right, it will never work. And most recently, Amy Hennig, creator of the Uncharted series, applauded the decision to start the film series with a younger Drake. This most recent iteration of the film's adaptation seems to be more likely to get made, and the Holland casting decision has a lot of fans praising it. But I want to pitch almost like an alternative version of how this film could go down. And I want it to be through the media of photorealistic films. Yeah, and I know what you're going to say. Oh, but the Uncharted cutscenes are already photorealistic films. What's the point of swapping medias? I'd say, yes, you are correct. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. So before jumping on to the why, I want to give a quick history of these live-action, fully animated, photorealistic films. Need a better name for that. Mocap films. There we go. Mocap films. All right, let's continue. So, way back in 2005, Robert Zemeckis gave us, and soon after,
The Polar Express!
I guess it was groundbreaking at the time, but now they're just on the ground when it comes to the, well, this held up podium. A few more of these Zemeckis mocapture films are sort of lying on the floor now next to Beowulf. They definitely brought in the motion capture genre, but they suffered from the beautiful effects of the uncanny valley, when you try to make a human face look real and it just looks creepy. Ugh. Soon after, we got Avatar. Now, while there's no CGI humans to drive into the valley wall, its CGI was indeed groundbreaking, and a large part of it still holds up 10 years later. We then come across the first film to animate motion capture humans as humans and not come across as sentient rubber. That was The Adventures of Tintin. Directed by Steven Spielberg, the creative style was able to blend photorealism with slight caricatures. This worked and made the visual ingestion far smoother than wrinkly-faced Jim Carrey. Since Tintin, there hasn't really been any large motion capture films with a human-only focus. The BFG and Ready Player One dived into this, but still had live-action segments. Now, while all this was going on, the video game scene was pushing forward the detailed in-game character models. Square Enix had always been in the front line when it came to their pre-rendered cutscenes. But the focus shifted to in-game models, and Naughty Dog were riding first class. Hell of a cheesy line. The jump from Drake's face from each game was a clear indication that Naughty Dog had gotten comfortable with the PS3 hardware. Enough to say that we had reached a point in which clear emotions could be picked up on our in-game models to a realistic level. When playing Uncharted 4, I'd be caught off guard when the cutscene ended and I was expected to play.
Pardon me.
The motion capture, additional animations, and environments are also immersive. It just felt like I was there watching an Uncharted film. So why not go to the next stage? Well, with film, we would always expect the quality to go up. And with more detail, that's when the media wants us to believe we're looking at real actors. With Uncharted, we know we're watching a video game. We're able to control Drake, so the disconnection with reality is subconscious. So, are we there yet? Are we able to subconsciously think that we're looking at human beings? Well, over the last years, the industry has progressed so much that I'm happy to say, almost! 3 years ago, we had Grand Moff Tarkin and a young Princess Leia, and unfortunately for the majority of the audience, it didn't work. There has been other characters with fake human faces, Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy, Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator Salvation, Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious 7, just to name a few. But it wasn't until I was watching David Fincher's Netflix series Love, Death and Robots that I realised that the reality of everything looking super realistic was at the earliest a year or two out. It was with one short, Lucky Number 13. Yes, it's still clear we're watching an animated film, but the lighting and how it's diffused on human skin and so on is so close to reality that I believe production on a feature-length motion capture film is truly doable with amazing results. We've known for a while that we can be fooled by CGI landscapes, Hello Jungle Book, and the soon-to-be-released Lion King. But the final piece of the CGI puzzle is humans, and I truly believe we're about to look over the event horizon of foolable faces. What are we talking about again? Oh yeah, Nolan North. I asked him a question 3 years ago. So, 3 years ago, Nolan North had this meet and greet up in London Soho, and that's where I got a chance to meet him. Through this chat, he talked through his life, and you could really tell the guy was truly humble and thankful for where he was with his career, and shared how much the fans meant to him. All in all, a great talk. I feel like I have a lot of time for this guy. Soon after, we were able to have a photo and a signing with him. I thought I'd go the extra mile and ask him what he thought about a fully motion capture Uncharted film. So, I asked. Can I get a quick exclusive question?
Yes, go ahead.
So, Uncharted movie, let's go Tintin treatment, full motion capture,
All right.
original cast. Are you willing to don the younger Drake again?
Yes.
There we go.
Anytime, anywhere, anyplace.
Exclusive. Thank you very much, Mr. Nolan North, with your free hand. There we go. Well, that was a fantastic response.
We're going to do it. He's going to direct.
Smashing. Yeah. Sure, why not? Okay, he may have been a little drunk. The cocktails were quite heavy there. But still, that's an answer. That's great. If the whole cast are able to, or wanting to, jump back into their motion capture suits and play their characters from 10 years ago, why not? Uncharted really isn't just about the stories. In fact, for me, the stories are second to the relationships between the characters and how well that comes across in cutscenes and playable moments. This chapter between Drake and Elena in Uncharted 4 is exactly what I'm talking about. If you've played it, you know. The job was done so well that if an Uncharted film had to come to cinemas, it would be shortchanging the audience if the characters weren't portrayed by the original cast. With all these games that make their way to the silver screen, we always come out with, why did they change the story? It's never really about the characters. It's only recently in which this criticism has appeared. The 2013 Tomb Raider game focused on Lara as a character rather than just a playable model. Her traits and beliefs and motivations differ from her on-screen version from the 2018 film. And for a lot of the fans, it was very noticeable. I think Neil Druckmann really said it right when he said, if you don't get the characters' dynamics right, it will never truly work. And yes, the Uncharted series is full of a lot of big action-packed sequences perfect for the movies, but at its core, its key cogs are the characters. In a world in which computer-generated images look as good as they do, why be held back by the limits of live-action industry to give an adaptation what it deserves? So this has been my take on the Uncharted film and how I'd love others who never intend to play the game to be introduced to this world, because it's really a series and a world worth sharing. So yeah, what do you think? Would you like to have a motion capture full Uncharted film with the original cast? Do you not really care and think live actions with brand new beautiful Hollywood stars are fine? Was all my information about the live action history of motion capture films completely wrong and I'm in need of a education? Well, the good thing is there's a comment section so you can tell me if you want. So yeah, leave a comment what you thought, and luckily for you, I read the comments. So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time under the moons. See you later.